Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
As long as the Matrix exists, the human race will never be free.
Start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now?
Terrorists! Terrorize this.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
That's right, people. I'm going to show them a world you do not want them to see. Greetings, free thinkers, freedom fighters, people who are just generally pissed off at the system, and zombie killers. It is Monday, January 2nd, I almost did it, 2012. Let's get used to that. 2012. And you have found yourselves accused of belligerent acts here on the front lines in this war on our humanity. I am your host, Darren Stone, broadcasting to you live from my zombie-proof stronghold here in FEMA Region 1. The call-in number for tonight's show, should you so desire, is 917-889-3064. That's 917-889-3064. Because remember, kids, having grandma pounce on you with the agility of a leopard while foaming at the mouth and trying to eat your brains is not the time to let your voice be heard. 917-889-3064. That's a zombie reference, people. All right. So, before I get to the usual pluggage, I hope everybody had a great New Year's Eve, night, day. Do we have great expectations for 2012? Are we fearing the end? Are we expecting ascension? Or just another year? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But we are entering ending the age of Pisces and entering the age of Aquarius. For those of you that care, that's what's happening. All right. But let me do the usual plugs, and then we'll get on to some show stuff. First of all, I want to thank everybody for the feedback on the newsletter that went out yesterday. If you got it and you love it, clap your hands. Okay. No, if you got it and you sent me back some nice feedback, thank you very much. If you haven't opened it yet, well, there's something waiting for you in your inbox. And I also want to thank everybody that joined on the Front's Facebook page. I'm assuming the spike I had yesterday in likes on the Facebook page was from the newsletter, so I thank all you guys. And check us out on Twitter, the Front on Twitter. The O in the word front is a 0, not a O. So it's a big O, the Front with a big O on Twitter. And check us out on YouTube, which you can get there via frontradio.net website. So check that out. Also, a little shout out to my friends over at Government Rag, Stephanie Sledge. She is featuring the show on her homepage, governmentrag.com. So check out the governmentrag.com for all your truther headlines. Also, new Facebook page called Behind the Curtain. Check out Behind the Curtain on Facebook. It's a fledgling page. We'll get it up there. They have a lot of great information. I just found it yesterday, so check it out. Behind the Curtain. Also, Orion Talk Radio Network on Facebook. Check out Orion Talk Radio Network Facebook page and OrionTalkRadioNetwork.com. I have a little question. Maybe I don't know if I'll get into that tonight. But while we're on the Orion Talk Radio Network stuff, I will be on the What the F show tonight at 10 o'clock on the Orion Talk Radio Network. So for those of you that are up later this evening, you want to come on over to Orion, check out the What the F show with myself. I believe Popeye will be on there from Federal Jack, as well as young hit writer sensation Madison Rupert from endthelie.com. Check out Madison's page. And, of course, What the F is now being taken over and run solely by, you guys know her as Jules. So Jules will be running What the F now. She's in charge, and that should make the show even better. That is 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Orion Talk Radio Network. For those of you in chat, maybe we'll get a link up there at some point so you guys can save it. Come on over later. It's a different format than on this program. It's kind of a roundtable thing, and we have a good time on it, so, it might be good for a laugh. It's definitely good for a laugh when you go back and listen to it later. All right, and this Thursday on the front, I do have Madison Rupert coming on the program as a guest. I don't know if you guys have heard of the kid, but he's a young guy, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. I will meet him for the first time tonight, and he's written some really great articles. He seems to have a very good idea of what's going on. So I'm going to have Madison on the program Thursday just to kick back and shoot the bull with him, just to just see where he's coming from, see how he got on this journey, and for a young guy, it's just kind of good to see that stuff coming out of him. But anyway, I've covered some in-depth articles written by Madison. I actually have one that I'm going to cover tonight concerning the signing of the NDAA by Barry Soetoro. I don't know why anybody ever doubted the fact that he would sign it. It's part of the agenda, people. The agenda is to bring us into complete bondage and slavery. Not that we aren't already there, but when we can actually feel, bonds on our wrists and ankles. That's what I'm talking about. So he'll be coming on the show Thursday. Check it out. It should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. All right. So, all right. So let's get into the program a little bit. A couple quick things off the top of my head. Strange thing, 2 back-to-back 4.0 earthquakes in the Youngstown, Akron, Ohio area yesterday, supposedly caused by fracking, part of the fracking process. I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm not a geologist. I'm just reporting on that because 2 back-to-back 4.0 earthquakes in that area of the country is kind of odd. And we have mentioned this before about the earthquake activity. If you guys do a Google search or a Smart Page or Start Page search or a Scroogle search, whatever you like to use, do a search on something called the Craton Plate, and you'll see how the earthquake activity in the United States is kind of working on the edge of that big Craton Plate there. So check that out. And these Ohio quakes kind of fall into that. But again, they say fracking. Hey, I don't know. To be honest with you guys, I'm really not that knowledgeable on fracking. Besides the fact that I'm anti-fracking before I even look into it because I know what I'll find. All right. And another thought I had just in mentioning, I heard somebody mention or talk about corporations being treated like people. You guys remember the Supreme Court passed that law a little earlier in 2011. And this is just a passing, fleeting thought I had. If you think about that, the whole premise of that, it's very, very strange, right? Why would you? How can an entity, an inanimate object, an idea, be treated or have the same rights as a human being? I mean, a corporation has no soul. It has no no heart, no emotional attachment to anything, no ability for compassion or love or caring or anything like that. A corporation exists for the sole purpose of profit. Just something to think about. All right. I know, it's short. Hey, look, I just said it was a fleeting thought. All right, so on the table tonight we have New Year's Eve news, some bird and fish deaths. That seems to be the new New Year's Eve thing that we do around here, mass die-offs of birds and fish, and indefinite detention, which is, of course, the signing of the NDAA. I have some strange volcano news over you guys over there in the UK, my listeners over in the UK. Heads up, mate. Okay? Heads up. Because you may have some magma with your crumpets. And a quick article on whether or not you would be too smart to be a police officer. No, this is no bull here. This is a Supreme Court, a court ruling saying a guy he's too smart to be a cop, and you'll hear the reason why he's too smart. And also, then I have the part of the show I'm looking forward to most, zombies. Okay? Yes, I know. Listen, you'll see where I'm going with this. I'm not talking straight up Hollywood zombies. I'm talking a scenario that could happen. Okay? But let's just go with me on it. You'll see where I'm headed with it. All right. So first of all, and more important and the most important news of the day is anything coming from Fukushima. So I just wanted to report on this, you guys. Look, those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know I've done a bunch of reporting on Fukushima with my guests Jules and Radchick from Facebook. Also, that's another plug. Hey, check out Radchick on Facebook for all your Fukushima and radiation fallout news. But this is the biggest thing going on right now. There's really nothing more important, not even being detained indefinitely, and not even a zombie apocalypse. Although nuclear fallout and a zombie apocalypse could go hand in hand. We never know. And the reason I say that is, look, half the things that we're seeing today, 5 years ago, if I was to be sitting here telling you these things, you'd be calling me, nuts, crazy, right? But here we are. So anyway, I wanted to point this out because it came out in some medical journals that they are acknowledging the fact that an estimated 14,000 deaths in the United States are linked to the radioactive fallout from the disaster at Fukushima. The majority of these deaths are in this is by the way, this is only in the first 14 weeks after Fukushima. Okay. Wait a minute, hold on. Before I say that, let me make sure I'm not giving you guys the wrong information here. The December 2011 edition of the International Journal of Health Services. This is the first peer-reviewed study published in the medical journal documenting the health hazards of Fukushima. Authors Joseph Magano and Janet Sherman wrote that their estimate of 14,000 excess U.S. deaths in the 14 weeks after the Fukushima meltdowns is comparable to the 16,500 excess deaths in the 17 weeks after the Chernobyl meltdown in 86. The rise of reported deaths after Fukushima was largest among U.S. infants under age 1. So there you go. While the government's lying to us, okay, lying by omission about Fukushima, we are being radiated and poisoned, and close to 14,000 kids under the age of 1 died in the first 14 weeks in the United States from the effects of Fukushima. And those effects are only strengthening or increasing. I shouldn't say strengthening. Increasing with the slow degradation of Reactor 4. We already have 3 reactors in meltdown. We have Reactor 4, which is contains a boatload of, I believe it's plutonium, and that thing is degrading as we speak. Bad things happen if that thing goes belly up, okay, or more belly up than it is. Even worse things happen, I should say. I don't know how you compare what's worse. I really don't with this stuff, but it's all bad. So I just wanted to point this out, and I'm not going to read this whole thing. I think I already posted up on the Front's webpage, the Front's Facebook page. But I'll just give you a little bit more from it. The rise in reported deaths after Fukushima was the largest among U.S. infants under age 1. The 2010-2011 increase for infant deaths in the spring was 1.8% compared to a decrease of 8.37% in the preceding 14 weeks. So that's pretty much a big swing of almost 10% increase, right? All right. Oh, yes, excellent point coming from the chat room from Jules. Reactor 4 cracked and lost a bunch of water out of it because of the 7.0 quake that Japan suffered over the last couple of days. If you guys didn't know, they got hit by another 7.0. For those of you that don't know or don't keep track of earthquake activity, Japan has been just nonstop earthquakes since right before the big 9.1 last March, causing the tsunami and the power outage and the meltdowns. So they have not stopped shaking over there. Actually, the whole planet hasn't stopped shaking. It's shaking everywhere. All right, and what else do I have here? I have, yes, some quick information on this volcano. Now, see, the reason I'm covering it, look, there's a lot of volcanoes that are becoming active right now. Okay, if anybody's paying attention to those, you know that. I don't report on all the volcanoes that are becoming active, but this one, because it's in Germany and could affect the UK. We don't usually associate the UK with volcanoes, so I figured I know I have listeners over there in the UK, and I just wanted you guys to be aware of what's happening. So here you go. A supervolcano is located about 390 miles from London. This is in Germany. A sleeping supervolcano in Germany is showing worrying signs of waking up. It's lurking just 390 miles away underneath the tranquil Lacher Sea Lake near Bonn and is capable of ejecting billions of tons of magma. This monster erupts every 10 to 12,000 years, and the last time it went off was 12,900 years ago. So it could go off at any time. Well, same with the Great Caldera in Yellowstone. The Lacher Sea volcano is similar in size to Mount Pinatubo, which caused a 0.5 Celsius drop in global temperatures when it erupted in 1991. It covered 620 square miles of land with ash and rocks, and several small earthquakes in the region last year indicate that it could be awakening from its deep sleep. Experts believe that if it did go off, it could lead to widespread devastation, mass evacuations, and even short-term global cooling from the resulting ash cloud blocking the sun. So there you go. I just wanted to give you guys over in the UK that wonderful news. So say, keep an eye on it. Maybe you want to go, I don't know, somewhere else for a little while, or just keep an eye on it so you can get out of there if you need to. All right. Where am I? All right. Now we're slowing down, and we'll get into some New Year's Eve news. All right. So New Year's Eve, right? Last year, New Year's 2011, blackbirds fell out of the sky in Beebe, Arkansas, and same thing happened this New Year's in Beebe, Arkansas. What do we say about that? I mean, that is I don't know. I have no clue. My instinct is that it is not HAARP. It is not chemtrailing. It is not the EPA poisoning birds. It is not fireworks. It is none of those things. I think it has to do with magnetism. That's what I think it has to do with. How? I don't know, but I just do. So let's listen to this here. 20 tons of dead fish wash up on Norway beaches, and this also contains the bird stuff. Norway, the inhabitants of Troms. This is in Norway. Okay, this last 20 tons of dead fish wash up on Norway beaches. The inhabitants of Troms could hardly believe their eyes in the morning on New Year's Eve. A very large amount, an estimated 10 to 20 tons of dead herring washed up on the beach, writes Northern Lights. That must be the paper this came out of. Tromsø City is the ninth largest urban area in Norway by population. The city is warmer than most other places located in the same latitude due to the warming effect of the Gulf Stream, which originates at the tip of Florida. Various theories abound. You know what? There's been various theories abound for all the mass animal die-offs. Do you really think that there's all these separate different theories, or would it just be just one thing causing this? I'd have to say it's probably the same thing. I don't believe it's going to be a long string of coincidences of different theories stringing together to cause these mass animal deaths we've seen escalating over the past 2 years. So various theories abound for the incident, but no one knows for sure what happened in the popular hiking area in Nordegia municipality. However, various theories have been tossed around, explains Jan Peter Jorgensen, who stumbled upon the mass death in sight of the beach with his dog Molly. It's important we know the dog's name. People who say that something similar happened in the 80s, and there's a speculation among others on the river which flows in the ocean behind a promontory on the site, may have had something to do with it. Maybe the fish have been caught in a deprived oxygen environment and then died of fresh water. Maybe. Jorgensen estimates each individual fish to be of 100. Okay, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to know how much the fish weigh. Okay, so this guy's basically worried what's going to happen if nobody removes all the dead fish. He's not really too worried about what killed all the fish, just what happens if nobody removes all the dead fish. But look, and I'm sure if I really looked into it, or if we looked into it, we'd find more fish kills going on at the same time. But I actually got a post on my Facebook page from a listener, and who lives in the Beebe, Arkansas area, and they wrote this on the Front's Facebook page. They said, "Hey, I thought I would share this from someone else's post." From RC Warrior. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I live about 50 miles from Beebe. Last night, my compass could not find magnetic north. This is the New Year's Eve, the night of New Year's Eve. I live about 50 miles from Beebe. Last night, my compass could not find magnetic north. Another person who lives in Beebe checked his compass as birds began falling. His could not find magnetic north. I have two rusty blackbirds in my yard who are alive, and I've been walking around feeding in the same 20-foot square area for about 3 hours. Rusty blackbirds do not normally feed in my yard. These birds are oblivious to me walking around in the yard. Blackbirds are usually very skittish of people. Also, last night on our local news, an anomaly was shown on the radar over Beebe. The explanation given was birds in the air. This person goes on to say, it was not. I'm an avid birder. Okay. I watch radar to detect possible bird fallout during migration. This was not birds. It was solid, not broken up as birds would look on radar. It spanned about a 5 by 2 mile area. You cannot convince me that this anomaly was birds. Something is not right about this, and it's not fireworks either. We have many blackbird roosts in my area, and this area was lit up like the 4th of July last night with no falling birds. So that's an eyewitness report from the Beebe, Arkansas area, telling you there's crazy radar anomalies, and she's got birds basically in a zombie-like state walking around in a little area in her backyard feeding. Just not normal. And I'm sorry, I'm going to believe bird behavior or strange things like this as an indicator that something's up rather than an official from the EPA telling me, oh, this happens all the time. No, it doesn't happen all the time, because if it did, we wouldn't be talking about it. And no, it doesn't. It's not just being discovered because of the internets and now people have ways to communicate faster. No, there's birds falling out of the sky, and if you look in almost every apocalyptic movie, you see birds falling out of the sky. I was in that movie Jericho. The nuclear attack. Not that movie, that television series Jericho. Birds, dead birds on the road. All right. The other thing, wishing you a happy new year, is, sorry, reading some groovy stuff in the chat room, that's right, Barry, Obomber, Satoru signed the NDAA. Now, I was on the What the F show 2 weeks ago, right before Christmas. And a question came up while we were doing the show. Somebody said, hey, when do you think Obama's going to sign the NDAA? Before Christmas or after Christmas? And I said during Christmas, because that's when these guys like to do this stuff. Look. So that's what he did. He signed it during New Year's Eve. That evening, the evening of New Year's Eve. Now, if the NDAA is such a great thing, and our politicians have put this legislation together, or whoever puts it together for them, and they're signing it in our best interest of the people, to protect the people from harm, then why do it? Why sign it when everybody's busy having a good time? Why isn't this not done? Why wasn't this done this morning? Monday morning, while everybody's home, everybody can see the news. Why? Is this just when Obama had time? He's like, Michelle's like, oh, she's like, come on, Barry, we have to go to the party. And Barry's like, oh, okay. Oh, you know what? Before I go, listen, I got to get that NDAA thing done. So let's just get that done right now. I don't want to think about it. I want to go party. We are blowing $4 million of taxpayer money on our lavish Hawaiian vacation, and you're still scrounging around like a globalist whore, asking everybody to send you $3 for the campaign. But, let's get the NDAA signed first. All right. So that's what he did. Signed it on New Year's Eve. The reason I said during, when somebody asked the question is because I just thought of the Federal Reserve Act. Same crap. Look, people, if our government and our elected leaders had our best interest in mind with things like, chemtrailing, people who don't believe that, but yet it's an obvious reality. We have the Massachusetts School of Law giving lectures on it. We have a geoengineering panel based in Texas. We have money allocated for it. And then when you actually get a politician to talk about it, they tell you, it's to combat global warming. It's a good thing. Well, look, anytime a politician is actually going to do a good thing for you, which I really can't think of any circumstance when that ever happened, but I would imagine they wouldn't pass up an opportunity to see you patting themselves on the back, telling them what a wonderful thing they've done for you. I mean, we do have election time coming up, people. If you're doing all this great stuff for us, let's run on it, right? Let's use it as your re-election campaign, right? Or let's use it as your election campaign if you're one of the Republican idiots out there running for office, not the Democratic idiot we have currently residing and renting the White House, flopping in the White House, I should say. Why aren't these guys up there, slamming the NDAA? No, it's all about the healthcare thing. When Republicans actually helped write it, like Romney, and now he's running against Obama's Obamacare. It's such childlike stuff. It's ridiculous. But anyways, here's the article from Madison Rupert. Happy New Year. Obama signs NDAA, codifies indefinite detention. Yesterday, despite hollow veto threats and meaningless reservations, Obama eviscerated the Constitution and the most essential civil liberties that were supposed to be the cornerstone of America with the stroke of a pen during his extravagant Hawaii vacation by signing the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2012, H.R. 1540, also known as the NDAA. What last vestiges of freedom and justice remained in America were totally wiped away in the signing of the NDAA into law, regardless of Obama's laughable platitudes, which are likely a cheap campaign tactic. Really, I mean, and come on, the whole troop withdrawal out of Iraq right now, are you kidding me? The guy ran his first election on, having everybody out of Iraq within the first 16 months. And now, as election time's rolling around, he's going to be patting himself on the back about ending the war in Iraq and how his foreign policy strategies have resulted in unprecedented success. He actually said that he's one of the top 5 presidents in history. Yeah. Look, and I won't argue with him because I can't think of 5 decent presidents in our history. So, I don't know. Anyone that was any good got shot. So what do we have here? Let's see. Okay, in signing legislation which allows for the indefinite detention of American citizens without the charge or trial transfer to any foreign nation and or foreign entity until the end, quote, the end of hostilities. That's how long you'll be detained for, till the end of hostilities, based on nothing more than suspicion. United States President Barack Barry Soetoro Obama acknowledged serious reservations about parts of the act, particularly provisions that regulate the detention, interrogation, and prosecution of suspected terrorists, according to the American Forces Press Service. Wow. Wow. He acknowledged he had serious reservations about it, people. But listen. He had no reservation. Look, when the man wants to act swiftly and get something done, like say taking out Osama bin Laden, there's no stopping him. Nah, never mind that the whole photo op thing turned out to be nothing more than a lie. Nobody there's no evidence of this. You'll just believe him. We got the guy and we threw him overboard. But, look, when he wants to act swiftly, there's no one that's going to push him around, okay? And as a matter of fact, like he said, he'll even circumvent Congress, right? But when it comes to signing the NDAA, wow, he's just kind of torn, and he'll acknowledge I have serious reservations, but, well, I guess I got to do it. Oh. Please excuse my dogs, everybody. They are highly trained at alerting me at the encroachment of the New World Order, so obviously it's getting closer and closer. Oh, it's here? Oh, so boy, it's here, boy? Oh, it's here. Well, it's here. All right, so aside from the troubling detention provisions, the bill actually allows, Now, this is another part of this thing, which I didn't even get into when we were talking about the NDAA, because honestly, I haven't read it in there. But I'm going to take Madison's word for it, and we'll ask him about this on Thursday. Yes, boy. What? Timmy's in the well? Okay. The New World Order threw Timmy in the well. All right. Not only does this NDAA allow you and I to be pulled out of our homes, out of our cars, out of wherever we are, and thrown into a military prison indefinitely in some foreign country or right down the road or wherever they decide to put you, not only will it allow them to do that based on what you think, feel, say, and do, but it also allows active duty military to engage in bestiality and approves of covert offensive cyber warfare. I don't know how the bestiality thing plays into this whole deal. We're going to ask Madison on Thursday, okay? I'll probably ask him tonight on What the F. Those of you that aren't going to listen to What the F, we'll have an explanation on this whole part of the NDAA on Thursday, okay? So the article goes on to say that Madison says he's been extensively covering the NDAA and the implications inherent in such sweeping legislation, along with putting forth what he thinks is the only logical question to ask at this point: when will it all come down? Our so-called government has shown that when they sign something into law, they indeed use it, although often not for the purposes for which it was intended, or at least as it was purportedly intended. Now, this is the whole thing with all this legislation, you guys. It's so vague, and there's so many gray areas, and there's no specifics in the legislation, and that's why it can be interpreted and utilized and used however they want it to be. And that's why people who think like me and like Madison and like you guys listening to this program, how we all feel that legislation like this can be seriously abused and take people into prison for what they think and feel and their political beliefs. And that's what makes people who think that kind of thing is just crazy and conspiratorial and outlandish and there's something wrong with you. But you see, the people who think that way, again, they're just assuming and they're just hoping, and it's just what they think. But there's nothing in the wording in the legislation to back up that line of thought. So my thing is, look, if you're going to sit there as one of the people, as one of the members of Congress that signed on to the NDAA, if you're going to sit there and tell me that it has nothing to do with jailing American citizens, then you should have put that in the wording. That's right. That's it. Simple. But they won't. They won't. And they won't for a reason. They won't because it's not a mistake that was left out. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake that Obama, signed it even though he had serious reservations. I think the only serious reservations Obama has is like the 5 Seasons Hotel or wherever he stayed in Hawaii. Those are the only serious reservations that guy has. Or his, 1 p.m. tea time. Those are the only serious reservations that dude has. All right. Let's see. The most apt example would, of course, be the Patriot Act, which is overwhelmingly used in drug cases and other cases which are not in any way involved in terrorism, which is true, which is the guise under which the legislation was pushed through after September 11th. See, it's always bullshit. It's always sold to you one way, but then used another. The old lady is getting stripped down at the airport. Come on. Terrorists? Really? Really? That has nothing to do with terrorism. It's conditioning. It's the boot on the human face that George Orwell referred to as a picture of our future. All right, so that's all I'm going to do from Madison's article, because we're going to be talking to that dude in length on Thursday. So that, once again, you guys want to hear Madison tonight on What the F with me, Jules, and Popeye from Federal Jack. Tune in. Ryan Talk Radio Network, 10 o'clock Eastern, the What the F show. All right. Really cool bumper music on the show, by the way. All right. So here's another story. Look, you want to know why, as the line gets drawn in the sand between the people and the government structure, we have out-of-control police. I think we've all seen enough police brutality in the last year to pretty much leave it that there is an escalation in police brutality. The police state is here. A lot of police are awake to the fact of what's going on and probably will end up being on the right side, but there is a lot of police officers who will be on the wrong side and will be fighting against you and me by taking orders from their corporate masters. They will do it. They will, because they think they're on the winning side. And they've been conditioned, and here's the other thing, they're not too bright. Oh, what are you trying to say, Darren? You calling cops dumb? No, I'm not saying it. But the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New York is. It's not my wording. It's the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New York. They upheld the lower court's decision that the city did not discriminate against Robert Jordan because the same standards were applied to everyone who took the test. Let me back up a little bit. Here we go. Court okays barring high IQs for cops. That's the title of the article. A man whose bid to become a police officer was rejected after he scored too high on an intelligence test has lost an appeal in his federal lawsuit against the city. So the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New York upheld the lower court's decision that the city did not discriminate against Robert Jordan because the same standards were applied to everyone who took the test. Quote, "This kind of puts an official face on discrimination in America against people of a certain class," Jordan said today from his Waterford home. "I maintain you have no more control over your basic intelligence than you do your eye color or your gender or anything else." Well, I disagree with Mr. Jordan in the fact that this is not discrimination, against people of a certain class. This is discrimination of people of a certain intelligence level, because you, my friend, maybe have the possibility to critically think and free think for yourself, and that makes you a threat to the system. So we can't have any cops out there thinking for themselves. You might not, follow that order of shoot to kill or at all costs or whatever needs to be done. Right? So, Jordan, a 49-year-old college graduate, took the exam in 96 and scored 33 points, the equivalent of an IQ of 125. But New London police interviewed only candidates who scored 20 to 27 on the theory. That scored 20 to 27 on the theory that those who scored too high could get bored with police work and leave soon after undergoing costly training. Let's think about this rationale for 1 second. So, the New London Police Department, and I'm going to just assume, I don't know if this is New London, New York, or New London, Connecticut, I don't know. But New London Police interviewed only candidates who scored 20 to 27 on the theory that those who scored too high would get bored with police work and leave soon after undergoing costly training. Now, look, so here we have a guy who's intelligent, but yet not intelligent enough to have any type of grasp on what his duties as a police officer would be. Therefore, he would not have any clue that he would get bored sometime in the future, thus costing the taxpayers and the police department money on expensive training for him once he became bored of his police work. Does that make any sense at all? Or does it make more sense to hire people who may be in a certain intelligence level that, let's say, training protocol has been specified to work with those people of a specific intelligence level, because it has been shown that through proper quote-unquote training and quote-unquote re-education, you will become the police officer the police department wants you to become. And that's a police officer, of course, that follows orders. Right? Now that seems to make a little bit more sense than, just assuming that that a guy applies for the job and he just happens to be so smart that he's not smart enough to realize that he doesn't want to be a cop. You guys who don't have the same intelligence level as him are going to tell him what's best for him. That's right. That's good. Excellent. Excellent job. All right. Let's see. Anything more to this article that... Oh, but hey, he couldn't get hired as a cop, but they hired him as a prison guard. So there you go. All right. Let's get into some fun stuff. All right. So, look, what got me thinking. Now, I had my show all lined up for 10. I was going to go into a 2012 thing, and I was going to talk about what it might mean to people, and I was hopefully going to field some phone calls from listeners who wanted to tell me their vision of 2012, what they thought was going to happen, the end, an ascension, nothing, whatever. But something's been bothering me, and what's been bothering me. And then I got on this whole zombie apocalypse roll, so I just went with it for the show. So there's been 2 reported cases of human rabies in the past week. One in my state, Massachusetts, and another in North Carolina. Human rabies is extremely, extremely rare. In fact, it's been 75 years since there's been a reported case in Massachusetts. At the same time, we have a new strain of bird flu, and there's been a few deaths, 2 deaths from this new strain of bird flu. One was a guy in China, and there was another guy. I want to say India, but please don't quote me on that one. I can't remember where it was. Now, on top of that, we also have that report out of Sweden where a lab developed a deadly strain of bird flu. Why you would develop a deadly strain of bird flu, I don't know. Capable of killing millions, it says. Okay, now, so we're getting a couple pieces to a puzzle. Oh, you're ruining it in chat. I see what you're saying. That's right, I'm getting into it. 28 days later, the rage virus was rabies. Okay? Now, I've said it before on this show, and I'll say it again. If the zombie apocalypse goes down, people, we don't need fast runners. This is scary. Okay? Anyway. I'm using a little sarcasm here, but I'm also, hey, you never know. I have 3 things here about this. Well, let me do this first. Let me do this. All right. Boston rabies. It's not a bite. I swear I fell. It's not a bite. I fell. Hey, if the zombie apocalypse if it happens, listen, somebody's got to have T-shirts ready to go that say it's not a bite. All right. So Boston rabies case highlights risk of exposure. Right. This just came out yesterday up here. Boston, Mass. State officials in Massachusetts have confirmed that a Cape Cod man in his 60s has fallen ill with a rare case of rabies. The man is listed in critical condition and appears to be the first human to contract rabies in the state in 75 years. Officials say it's not certain how the man was infected, but he may have been exposed to a rabid bat in his home. I would look for a bite mark on the man, maybe. I don't know. The case serves as an example of why domestic animals, including indoor cats, must be vaccinated for rabies. Really? That's what it serves as? No, that's not what it serves as. The bat, they just refer to a bat as possibly giving the guy rabies, but now they turn that around and say, well, it's got to, you got to give your cat a rabies shot. Well, you're not giving the bat rabies shots. The problem is, why is it manifesting in rabies in a human? Okay. In New York State, a rabies vaccination is required for all dogs. Blah 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 blah. Although cats are not required to be licensed in New York, it's imperative that they too be vaccinated for rabies. Okay. Due to a possibility of exposure to bats in a residence, even indoor cats should be vaccinated. One thing about cats and dogs is dogs are scary, right? You never want to get attacked by a dog. I mean, I'm saying dogs are scary if they're attacking you. I love dogs. You heard mine. But cats. I mean, cats. When cats go off the hook, I'd almost want to have to defend myself against a dog than a crazy cat. You ever seen cat attacks? Not good. Not good. All right. Anyway. All right. The health department will then seek to ascertain if the animal is current. See, this is telling us nothing about the human rabies thing here. Let me move on here. There is no proof documenting that the animal has been properly vaccinated, and the animal must be quarantined. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here we go. Further down the article, it says, earlier this month, a woman in South Carolina died after contracting the state's first case of human rabies in half a century. Officials say 1 to 3 human rabies cases are reported in the United States each year, mostly due to exposure to rabid bats. About 55,000 people die of rabies every year in other parts of the world, largely due to exposure to rabid dogs. Rabies is a viral disease which almost always leads to death unless treatment is provided soon after exposure. All right. And let's see here. This article goes on and on. Let's see. To those of you that are new listeners, I rarely read articles before I go on the air. We kind of just read them, I go through them with you guys for the first time, so I just think it's more exciting. I know. I don't get out much. Rabies is often seen among wild animals such as raccoons. Okay, we all know this stuff. Let me just skim this. Okay, this goes into ferrets. All right. Okay, what can people do to protect themselves against rabies? Don't feed or touch, adopt wild animals, stray dogs or cats. Oh, whatever. I'm not reading that stupid stuff. All right, listen. So here we go. Now, why did I go off on the rabies thing? Because of the flu stuff that's going on. And because the CDC not long ago released their Zombie Apocalypse Preparedness 101 guide. Okay? No kidding, they did. And I have that here in my hands. So, but here's an article that actually talks, and this is out of National Geographic News, that actually talks about a possible zombie virus, okay? And this is from October 2010. And it goes on it goes like this. It says, zombie virus possible via rabies flu hybrid. Okay. In the zombie flicks, 28 days later, and I Am Legend, an unstoppable viral plague sweeps across humanity, transforming people into mindless monsters with cannibalistic tendencies. Though dead humans can't come back to life, certain viruses can induce such aggressive zombie-like behavior. Scientists, was that a Freudian slip? Scientists say in a new National Geographic Channel documentary, The Truth Behind Zombies. Well, I might go back and watch that. So, for instance, rabies, a viral disease that infects the central nervous system, can drive people to be violently mad, according to Samita Andrensky, a virologist at the University of Miami's Miller School of Medicine in Florida, who also appears in the documentary. Combine rabies with the ability of a flu virus to spread quickly through air, and you might have the makings of a zombie apocalypse. Yeah. Okay. You never know. Look, we have FEMA camps in the works. Okay, we'll have Madison attest to that on Thursday. We have reports of the coffins, the coffin liners that fit 5 people, 5 bodies in it. We have reports of guillotines on trains. You know, don't know if it's true, but if it was, you know what you got to do to kill a zombie, right? Kill the head. So here it is. National Geographic talking about combining the rabies with the ability of a flu virus to spread quickly through the air, and you could have a zombie apocalypse, a zombie accomplice in the apocalypse. Rabies virus mutation is possible. Unlike movie zombies, which become reanimated almost immediately after infection, the first signs a human has rabies, such as anxiety, confusion, hallucinations, and paralysis, don't typically appear for 10 days to a year as the virus incubates inside the body. But we can have mutating viruses here, people. You know? We can have mutating viruses. It's Rex84, by the way, in chat room. Rex84. If the genetic code of the rabies virus experienced enough changes or mutations, its incubation time could be reduced dramatically, scientists say. Many viruses have naturally high mutation rates and consistently change as a means of evading or bypassing the defenses of their hosts. There are various ways viral mutations can occur, for example, through copying mistakes during gene replication or damage from ultraviolet light. Now combine this, okay, everybody, with the fallout from Fukushima. We just told you that the medical journal has confirmed 14,000 deaths, mostly infants, which have very rapid cell division. That's why they die from radiation. Possibly, could radiation be mutating any of these viruses? I don't know. There are various. Let's see. Okay. There are various ways viral mutations can occur. For example, through copying mistakes during gene replication or damage from ultraviolet light. Quote: if a rabies virus can mutate fast enough, it could cause infection within an hour or a few hours. That's entirely plausible, Andrensky said. Now, an airborne rabies would create a quote-unquote rage virus. But for the rabies virus to trigger a zombie pandemic like in the movies, it would also have to be much more contagious. Humans typically catch rabies after being bitten by an infected animal, usually a dog, and the infection usually stops there. Thanks to pet vaccinations, people rarely contract rabies in the United States today, and even fewer people die from the disease. For example, in 2008, only 2 cases of human rabies infection were reported to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. A faster mode of transmission would be through the air, which is how the influenza virus spreads. We all know that. Different forms or strains of the same virus can swap species of genetic code through processes called reassortment or recombination, said Ilan Kumarin-Stubia, a virologist at Virginia Tech, who was not involved in the documentary. But unrelated viruses simply do not hybridize in nature, Sabaya told National Geographic News. No, they don't hybridize in nature, but they will in the lab. You know, or if you released a certain virus that would be, let's say, more prone to mutation by another certain thing, exposure, comes in contact with another virus, don't know. But obviously, if they're creating deadly flus in labs, why you would do that again in the first place, I don't know. But obviously, people are creating those things. They're creating them for a reason, right? Now, I'm not saying we're having a zombie apocalypse, everybody. I'm just using the zombie apocalypse backdrop to emphasize the point of man-made viruses out there that can wipe out millions of people. And the fact that the rabies thing happened twice in 1 week. Okay, these in these articles I'm reading, they're referring to human rabies cases as 2 or 3 per year. We've had 2 in a week, so that's why it got my attention. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. Whew, I have to be on the air till 12 tonight. I better get my act together. Where are we here? Likewise, it is scientifically unheard of for 2 radically different viruses such as rabies and influenza to borrow traits, he said. Quote, they are too different. They cannot share genetic information. Viruses assemble only parts that belong to them, and they don't mix and match from different families. Well, I'm sure that's true, but again, he's referring to what happens in nature, not what happens in the lab. So, I'm sure this Ellen Kumarin-Stubia, that's this name. Listen to this guy. Now, before you guys rag on my reading, okay, let me just spell out this guy's name for you, or this girl's name for you. Elankumaran. That's the first name. Ellen Kumarin. That's one name. That's the first name. All right. So, quote, sure, I could imagine a scenario where you mix rabies with a flu virus to get airborne transmission, a measles virus to get personality changes, the encephalitis virus to cook your brain with fever, and thus increase aggression even further, and throw in the Ebola virus to cause you to bleed from your guts. Combine all these things and you'll get something like a zombie virus, she said. So that's a she. But nature doesn't allow all these things to happen at the same time. You'd most likely get a dead virus. Let's see. All right. Now, another couple things to take into consideration. Possible viral mutation due to excess radiation, like I mentioned. But look, there's also that mutant strain of E. coli out there. I'd never covered that on the show, and I actually never read about it, but I do know what it is. It's a mutant strain, supposedly by Monsanto. And what about the reports that we've heard of that white stringy web stuff being found on nuclear fuel rods? I don't know what that stuff is. Just throwing all these things together. I don't know. I don't know. They're sure not going to throw any of these things together on MSNBC, CNN, or Fox, right? They're not going to do any of that. Or on the Alex Jones show, for that matter. They won't do that. Now, all right. Yeah. I mean, I know we refer to movies a lot on this program, but a lot of things in movies that were supposed fantasy have come true. Oh, let me just answer a question. Somebody just asked me if I'm going to be on the air till 12. Yes, I am. I'm going to be doing the What the F show on Orion starting at 10. So that's what I meant by that. I'm not doing like some marathon here or anything. But movies like 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, and I think there's now another one coming out. Those were all based on the rage virus, and which was like this article from National Geographic just talked about, a combination of a flu and rabies strain. That and anybody that saw those movies, look, those are the type of zombies, although they're not actual zombies, because I guess zombies would be dead people that have become reanimated. But we refer to them as zombies, I'm sure, in an apocalyptic scenario like that. These were fast, strong, very, very violent, aggressive, and that's not the type. Look, I'm always down for a zombie apocalypse, people. I admit to you that some slow movers like Walking Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, stuff like that, I could be down with that whole scene. I could. I'm admitting it, I know. But the fast movers, like 28 Weeks Later, no, I don't want any part of that. No part of that. I pull my hamstring all the time when I run, so I'd be hauling ass from a group. I'd pull a hamstring. I'd die because of my hamstring. I'd be pissed. All right. All right. Jules, can you throw a link up in the chat room for the show tonight? Just got a request from a listener for the link to the show. All right. So, look, again, I'm not the guy making the big deal of the zombies. The CDC, Preparedness 101, Zombie Apocalypse. Now, I covered this when it came out back in May, this past summer, or spring. But the CDC actually did release the Zombie Apocalypse Survival Guide. And I have it right here. And it goes on to say that there are all kinds of emergencies out there that we can prepare for. Take a zombie apocalypse, for example. Right? Now, it goes on into the history of zombies. No big deal. And what to do. Better be safe than sorry. So what do you do? What do you need to do before zombies or hurricanes or pandemics, for example, actually happen? Right? What you got to do is you got to stock up some water, some guns, some food, some way to regulate temperature in your home or your fort or your stronghold or your bunker, wherever you are. Your usual preparedness measures. But don't worry, okay? Let's see. So what the CDC, what they suggest for you is this. They suggest that you stock water, 1 gallon per person per day. Food, stock up on non-perishable items that you eat regularly. Medications, this includes prescription, non-prescription meds. Tools and supplies, okay? They're saying utility knife, duct tape, battery-powered radio, etc. Sanitation and hygiene, you want some bleach, some soap, some towels, etc. Clothing and bedding, a change of clothes for each family member. You don't want to get that zombie blood on you, people. Caller, I see you on the line. I'll be right there. Important documents, copies of your driver's license, passport, birth certificate, to name a few. Zombies want to know who you are before they eat your face off. First aid supplies, although you're a goner if a zombie bites you. It's not a bite, I said. You can use these supplies to treat basic cuts and lacerations you might get during a tornado or hurricane also, not just a zombie apocalypse. Once you've made your emergency kit, sit down with your family and come up with an emergency plan. This includes where you should go and who you should call if zombies started appearing outside your doorstep. All right? So identify, okay, this is basically blah, 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 blah. Never fear, the CDC is ready. If zombies did start roaming the streets, CDC would conduct an investigation much like any other disease outbreak. CDC would provide technical assistance to cities, states, or international partners dealing with zombie infestation. This assistance might include consultation, lab testing and analysis, patient management and care, tracking of contacts, and the infection control, including isolation and quarantine. It's likely that an investigation in this scenario would seek to accomplish several goals. Determine the cause of the illness, the source of the infection, virus, toxin, learn how it's transmitted and how readily it is spread, how to break the cycle of transmission and thus prevent further cases, and how patients can be treated. Not only would scientists be working to identify the cause and cure of the zombie outbreak, but CDC and other federal agencies would send medical teams and first responders to help those in affected areas. I wouldn't want to be on that crew. So there you go. There we go. All right, caller. Let me get to the call on the line.
It's Jeff calling from Chelsea, Massachusetts. Darren, how's your weekend?
Hey, Jeff from Chelsea, Mass. It is good, my friend. How's yours?
It's pretty good. Well, you know, as far as the zombie apocalypse is concerned, to be honest with you, I don't buy into it at all. But if you want any kind of inkling of zombies, just come down to the commuter rail station at North Station or South Station and just watch all the liberal yuppies in suit and ties, and they're the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, so we already have our zombies.
But Jeff, let's be fair. The Republican rhino idiots are just as zombified too. So.
I know. I know, but you know, being in Boston, as you know, and staying there in one of the terminals, you just really see the deadness in people, and then you talk about anything deeper than baseball, strippers, and paycheck, and the people just shut you.
Oh, I think the zombies got Jeff. Yep, zombies ate his face off right in the middle of his phone call. Jeff, are you okay, my friend? If you're okay, you can call back in. If you are getting attacked by zombies, shoot 3 flares up into the air. Okay, so we know. Well, there he goes, everybody. See? Perhaps he was black-bagged via NDAA. You can't just call up programs like this. Okay? That's a terrorist activity. All right, what do I have for you people? Let's end this let's start winding the show down on a good note, okay? We talked about the fact that we're all enemy combatants now because the NDAA was signed. We've talked about the possibility of a rage virus ruining our day, volcanoes, bird deaths, fish deaths, radiation deaths. Let's talk about something else, okay? Let's talk about some good stuff. I have this article here. Yes, that's true in chat. Yes, you can call back. Jeff, you can call back. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. I do have this other article that it's called Seeing Through the Apocalypse. And we'll get to it after we finish up with Jeff's call here. Jeff, I thought the zombies got you.
Well, no, Darren, the zombies didn't get to me. It's probably a third or fourth party listening, because that was strange. The way that thing went, it was like you had the NSA going, we're going to test this out, see if we can cut some callers off. That's what I'm thinking. But
well, if that's the case,
who knows?
Then we're doing something right.
Yes, exactly. I mean, because this is very, very unusual. I was just kicking back, talking as I'm talking, and all of a sudden, like somebody clipped the phone call, like somebody clipped the phone or something. So, but anyways, as far as zombies are concerned, I mean, Boston is full of zombies. I mean, liberal ones and rhino zombies. I mean, look, Romney's a rhino, and I wouldn't be shocked if Romney became our president. I mean, you know, and you can thank all the rhinos for voting him in. And I hear zombies saying how good Newt Gingrich is. The only cool guy out of the Republican lineup as a Republican is Ron Paul. I mean, that's the only
yeah.
cool. That's the only cool guy out of that whole bunch. And then there's another lady named Lori Roth, who's an independent. So my toss-up is between those two. And you know, I don't believe there's going to be a zombie apocalypse. But when the you know what hits the fan, you're going to see the inner cities, and they might as well be zombies. As all the ghetto denizens from Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan start pouring into the suburbs, and they start breaking into your house. But they won't want your brains. They'll want your food, your beer, your daughter, and your wife, and so forth. And it might as well be like zombies. They should make a movie like that. You know, a society where the rug is pulled out, and then you see all the inner city denizens with their machetes wanting your stuff.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they won't have any clue what's going on, so maybe you can distract them with a big screen TV or something. You know, say, look, man, you know, just don't take my ravioli in the can. Here, take have my 55-inch screen TV.
Oh yes, I like that one. You know what the funny thing is? That the 55-inch screen TV won't even work. I mean, you know, and then you hand that off to them, and then you run with your food. But you know what? Before I get off the air, my goal is again move up to New Hampshire, move up to the countryside, and live up there. But Darren, it's been so great talking to you. Now I'll let you go and have a great day.
All right, Jeff. Thanks for calling in, my friend. And again, I'm glad you weren't getting your face eaten off. I was. I don't know what your face looks like, but I'm sure it looks better on than off. All right. So let's finish up the show with this thing here. Look, it's kind of an all-encompassing thing, and I thought it really hit on what I was talking about on the show a few shows ago, which was perception. The perception that we are weak, that our oppressors are too strong for us to get out from underneath of. I am of firm belief that that is 100% not true. I am of firm belief that we, as people, as the masses of people, as good people, most of us are, you know, look, there's violent people out there, there's bad people out there. Most of those people are products of an environment, or they behave that way as a result of things that they've been through. That doesn't make any excuse for them. I'm just saying that I personally believe that human beings on the inside are inherently good. And I'll say that for, 90% of people, because if we look around the globe, most people just want the same things, to be happy and be left alone and enjoy their life. That's really it. That's really what most people want. And the reason I'm saying that is because when we think of the people that control us, and we are being controlled, whether you want to admit that to yourself or people won't admit it to themselves, we are. We live in a society where we have this money, and we need the money to survive. We need the money to buy food and drive to work and all these other things that we think we have to do. So we are 100% completely controlled. And the fact that the issuance of that money, that controlling entity in our lives, comes from a private organization that we have no say in what they do, what they say, we have no say. They just dictate to us. I'm referring to the Federal Reserve, which is a private entity. We are 100% controlled as a society. And people don't understand that. They don't see that. They don't get that because they think just because they can move from point A to point B that they're free. But of course, that's not the case. And if the day ever came where you couldn't move from point A to point B and you finally realized you weren't free, well, it's a little bit too late to fight back at that point. Okay. So let me see here. This article, Seeing Through the Apocalypse. Let me see if I can jam through this. Yes, I can. They don't own the earth. They don't own you and me. They don't own all their stupid secret symbols. They don't own the present. They don't own the future. They don't even own themselves. They're usurpers and in every sense of the word, and absolutely nothing to fear. See, I believe that. But let me clarify that. I believe that the people that run the planet are something to be feared in the fact that there is no limit to the degree of violence or misery they would be willing to use in order to perpetuate, promote, and continue their agenda of global governance, therefore being global domination. Okay? I don't think they're anything to fear, because if we got in a room with any one of these people, we could probably send them, crying into a corner with a few harsh words, because they wouldn't be used to being treated that way. But up in their, ivory towers dictating to the masses, I'm sure you feel pretty powerful. The reason I say they're nothing to fear is because if they weren't afraid of us, and I've said this billions of times on my program, all right, maybe not billions, but a lot, for those of you that just are listening to this show, that's the reason the control grid has been put in place. That's the reason our police officers dress in black body armor now. That's the reason they drive Dodge Chargers with blacked out windows and urban assault vehicles. That's the reason they have automatic weapons and military surplus being handed off to them. That's the reason they're implementing drones in with our police force. Okay, it's the reason we're being surveilled. It's the reason we're being controlled. Because if the only reason you control something is because you're afraid of it, or you're afraid of something happening to it. That's it. It's the only reason. So that's why they're controlling us, because they're afraid of us. Okay, they put up their big armies in between us and them, meaning privatized mercenary forces, the military, the police forces, CIA, FBI, all those things, all in between us and them, because they're afraid. So that these invading power freaks, back to this article, striving to control the world, should try to lay claim to some secret knowledge and power source is a fraud. They think they can bring on world-changing events that result in national clampdowns and population reduction is their personal nightmare in the making. And we need to see it for what it is, a charade. They have no secret powers. The nightmare is theirs, not ours. The fact is, there is no secret but that which is willfully withheld or deliberately ignored, and to the conscious, nothing is hidden that cannot be revealed. So much of the big lie that we're witnessing on the world stage is simply projected pride, a big, fat, stinking, manufactured pride of pathological egomaniacs, reinforcing a fabricated world of their ugly, demented imaginations. Whether world conquest piggybacking on natural and manufactured catastrophes or attempting to morph humanity and terraform our environment to meet their specifications for world control, it's all defensive. And that's 100% true. And this is why when I talk to people about subjects like this, a lot of people get depressed and they throw their hands up in the air and there's nothing I can do. And I'm always wondering why someone feels that way when I feel the exact opposite. I feel like we can all do something, and that's why I do this show, and that's why people like me do shows, because we all feel like we can make a change. And I don't think I can make a change, just from behind this microphone. I'd rather get out there and do some action, but the truth of the matter is that we can have much more peaceful change if people just woke up. If they just woke up and admitted to themselves what it is that they live in. That's it. And we go through a little bit of shit at first, but, after we got through that, we could have a much better time in our lives, a much more fulfilling life, and a much more promising future. I say we have to go through the crap because, they're not going to go down without a fight, these people, okay? But, so back to this. It is they who are running and hiding from something so incredibly powerful they yet to have erect giant sandcastles to hide behind while they attempt to exterminate all those who carry this amazing potential to realize truth. Us. And an awakened, empowered us is what they are absolutely frightened of. And that again is so true, and that's why I cover this article. They are afraid of us. They are afraid of us. Look, man, this is the thing. They bog you down. They bog us all down with the birth, education, work, tax, death cycle. They bog us down. They held a carrot in front of your face. They make you chase that thing for your entire life. And before you know it, you look back and you go, what the hell did I do? You're supposed to have all these computer gadgets. All this technology is supposed to make your life easier, but it doesn't make your life easier. It makes you be able to cram more crap into your day, so you're actually even busier. It doesn't make anything easier. Sure, it makes it easier to type a few letters and send it off as an instant message instead of taking the time of writing it on a piece of paper and jumping on a horse and, delivering a, piece of mail by Pony Express. Yes, it makes it easier that way. But you see, it doesn't actually make our lives easier. Are any of our lives easier due to all this technology we have? No. People's lives are harder than ever, and they've been designed to be that way. They've been designed to keep you as busy as possible so you don't pick your head up, you don't look around, you don't see what's going on, you don't free think, and then you don't rise up and you say, hey, I've had enough of this crap. Because there's not one single thing that the United States government, okay, and I'm going to speak about the United States government because I know that one better than I know any other government, that they have implemented onto us that has been any good to anyone. Not one thing. And I want to hear it if anybody can think of one thing. Besides maintaining some type of law so that we're not being killed by freaks in the streets, okay? Look, you need some kind of government. You need some type of government for protection, law, and order. You need that. You do. Okay? We could evolve, if there was a such thing as evolution, we could probably evolve, into some type of society that would actually work off of common sense and compassion towards each other. But I don't think we're there at this point. So, right now, yeah, we got to get rid of the people that oppress us, the people that implement social engineering programs that divide us. We have to get the people that sell us on just such falsities like nuclear power. I mean, you can't get a much more false sales job than nuclear power. The cost far outweighs any benefit whatsoever. We've been sold on all of these things, and for no good whatsoever. No good. Not at all. Now let me get back to this article. So what they fear most is an awakened and empowered us. I wish everybody would just understand that. And not when you turn off this show and then go flick on the tube and become mesmerized by the bullshit coming out over that screen at you. Because you got to understand, the reason that thing is sitting on your wall is not to provide you with endless hours of entertainment. No, it's to brainwash you. That's it. They needed to figure out a way to get right to your head. And that's it. Why switch from analog to digital? Why switch to a platform that is so much more unstable? Okay? Just to what? Just to provide you with a clearer picture? Stereo sound? Well, yes, in a sense. But also to expose you to frequencies that will manipulate your psyche. That's why. The reason the television is in your house is to sell you on whatever ideas come across. And none of those ideas are good ones. They may be presented as good ones, but none of them are going to be good ones. And I'm not saying everything on television is crap. I mean, there's some, look, I've used this example plenty of times in the show. It's like understanding what plants are edible and what are poisonous if you're lost out in the woods. Okay? You can go out in the woods. If you know nothing, you're going to eat something wrong and you're going to die. Okay? You're going to mistake deadly nightshade berries for blueberries. You're going to eat them and you're probably going to die. all right? But if you know the woods, you can go out there and you can walk through the deadly parts of the forest, and you're not going to be hurt because you see it for what it is. This is how you should view your television, okay? I understand whenever I happen to watch a television, I don't pay for television in my house, but if I'm at a friend's house, I understand what's being said over my television. I understand why it's being presented in that way. It's crystal clear. And I look at it, and I might as well be watching the Cartoon Network, no matter what I'm watching on television, because it's made for the mentality of a child. Even the so-called scientific shows. I'm not saying I sit there with this complete clear understanding of everything that's coming across me, but I understand the gist of it. I get it. I know why I'm being led down that path by the ring in my by the slave ring in my nose. I understand. And the longer, the more people watch that, and the more people subject themselves to the thinking that the television wants you to have, the more time you're going to spend being asleep. And that's what they want you to do. And that's why things like television and little screens you can carry around with you, that's why all those things are so readily available, and the things that you really need, they're taking away from you. Like vitamins and minerals. Like good, clean food that allows you to actually think more clearly. It makes you smarter. Your body's an electrical system. When you fill it up with garbage that the FDA tells you is food, those electrical impulses, those signals are slowed down. You're not as an efficient human being. You're not even close to your potential. And it's your potential that they want to suppress. That's the name of the game. That's the whole thing. And they will do it through every avenue they can possibly get to. Through your air, your water, your food, your entertainment, your books, your education, your marketing. I mean, every single thing, every single way that they can suppress your potential, they will. No Child Left Behind is a blinding example of that. Where nobody in the class can go farther than the dumbest kid in the class. And I'm not saying that against anything about the kid that's not smartest in the class. I'd actually have to look at the curriculum before I even determine whether it was worth anybody learning in the first place. Okay? So just because that kid's not bright using their curriculum, he's probably a genius when it comes to common sense. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But anyway, people, look it. Understand your potential. Know that you're powerful. Know that's why they're afraid of you. Okay? So you have to start talking to people. You have to start talking to your friends and family. We have to start waking everybody up. We can put an end to all this madness. We can all live much more prosperous, peacefully. All this great stuff can happen. It really can. Because, look, if you keep following these people, we're going to go off the cliff. They haven't made one right decision for us yet. They've made right decisions for them, not for us. Right? All right. And on that note, everybody, hey, look, like I said, I'll be back. I'll be on the radio tonight on the Orion Talk Radio Network on What the F at 10 with Jules, Popeye from Federal Jack, and Madison Rupert. And again, Madison will be on my show as my guest on Thursday at 6 p.m. So thanks, everybody, for showing up to the show. Hope you had a great New Year's Eve. I will see you all on Thursday or tonight at What the F. All right? Thanks, everybody.
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. The decision rests with you.